Danny, you actually were first. First comment to the broadcast, Danny Bruno. Hey there, Mark. Hi, everyone. Hey, Alex. Hello. Welcome to A Moment in Time with Taylor. Thank you for tuning in live or on the replay. Thank you so much for watching, sharing, subscribing, following, all that good stuff. And most of all, thank you if you are making this channel possible at the link in the description, nextjuice.com/support. That is the best way to support this channel and to keep us going. Everyone here has contributed these amounts over the last 30 days, and I can't say thank you enough. It means the absolute world to me and for the entire audience and the whole community that we're able to keep this channel going for over 3 years in a row now. I've been live every single day on Periscope for 3 years in a row, and I'm now up to going live 3 hours a day every single day. Also, I'm on YouTube, so you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm live on both right now, and this is on YouTube is where you can find a playlist of all my different book reviews. Now, before I start getting into the comments too much, let me just remind you guys that I am indeed a live streamer through and through and through. I love to engage with you guys. I love to read the comments and have full discussions, which means some of you just want to know, was the book good? Was the book not good? Should I read it? What was it about? And you want something really short and concise. It's not really my style, but I do write up little short, concise reviews and summaries that you can get for free. You just sign up at the link right there, nextjuice.com. My next one's going out in a couple of weeks, and I only send 3 a year. So I send 1 email every 4 months. That's it. And it's a review and summary of all the books that I've read over those 4 months and nothing more. So thank you to everyone who signs up for that book review, and thank you for everyone who has the patience to make it through my long book reviews. This was a pretty good book, but let me first just greet everybody that came in and commented. Hello from Japan. I like your little emoji greeting. Hello. One side of my hair looks shorter. Yeah, there's just more hair pulled to this side, that's all. Hey everyone. Hi, Ed. Why am I itchy? Okay. Not too many people coming and commenting because you guys just want to know about the book, don't you? Whoa. Okay. So this is What Doesn't Kill Us by Scott Carney. And it's about this man, a Dutch athlete named Wim Hof. And the little subtext here says how freezing water, extreme altitude, and environmental conditioning will renew our lost evolutionary strength. And this book was really inspiring. So even though I'm not a hardcore athlete by any stretch of the term, I do go to the gym, I try to get to the gym every day, but pretty hardcore athletes in this book, and in this man in particular. He actually holds the Guinness Book of World Records, world record for swimming under a frozen lake. You can kind of see there the longest time and the longest distance swam under a frozen lake. So really interesting guy, that's for sure, and really interesting perspective that Scott Carney gives us. Now, Scott Carney is a journalist who actually set out to explore Wim Hof and to kind of like reveal him for the fake guru and the kind of shyster that he expected him to be, and ended up being one of his pretty, I don't know if I would use the word devout, but a pretty hardcore believer and practitioner of the Wim Hof method. And you can find a lot of the different trainings online. He sells his own trainings. You can actually go, I believe it's to Finland, and train with him, at least at the time that this book was put out, and get direct training with him and hike with him and go up the mountains. And I'll kind of explain what some of that looks like in just 1 second. Let me just check in here. Sounds like London, extreme cold. I think probably a little bit colder than that. Hi Dave, how are you? It's crazy. Yes. So, and you can see he's not even in any kind of wetsuit or anything like that. He's just in his underwear. So this guy's known for exposing himself to extreme cold with virtually no insulation, very little clothing, if any at all. And that's what a lot of his disciples, a lot of his people that he trains, his clients, do as well. So here's a picture of him meditating on some type of glacier-looking object. Hey Gangsy, what's up? Thanks for being here. And there's another picture in here of a group of them meditating on some snow, if I can find it. There's not that many pictures here. Oh, it's just kind of small. So you can see them there. All meditating on the snow. And what he wrote was that they sat on the banks of the river until the snow melted around them in Poland. I came into a naked man on the screen. What's happening? He's not naked. He is wearing underwear. They're all wearing underwear. I don't know if they always do, but I assume they do. So, same? What do you mean same? Probably one of the most interesting takeaways that I got from this book was they discovered through studying Wim Hof and people that practice his techniques, the discovery of this type of tissue called brown adipose tissue or brown fat. So the fat that we're more used to, fat cells that we think of in our body when we eat too much food, you know, what kind of fat do we get? That's called white fat. Brown fat, so white fat is a storage of energy, and it's really kind of like, it's like a place of food. So if we go through some period of starvation, our body feeds on the white fat. Brown fat is different in the sense that it is really primarily for thermogenesis or heat regulation. It produces heat. So it keeps our bodies warm when we're cold. So the more of that we have, the easier it is for us to stay warm in cold environments. And the best way to increase the amount of brown fat you have is by exposing yourself to cold environments. Your body will react and try to protect itself by increasing the amount of brown fat that you have. And another interesting part of brown fat is that it actually, now this is all according to this book. I didn't really go around and fact check this. He's a journalist. I assume he fact checked a lot of the stuff in here, but you can double check to make sure. But according to this book, I should preface all of this information, is that brown fat actually feeds on white fat. So similar to when you're in a period of starvation, when it needs to really regulate that heat, it helps to eat some of that white fat. And I know a lot of people are trying to figure out how to decrease the amount of fat in their body. So it's a unique, different kind of way to try. And I know a lot of these gurus they do this. They use a lot of cold water exposure. Orlando Bloom was someone that he actually saw at one of the training centers where he was interviewing another person who uses some of the Wim Hof strategies and techniques. And Tony Robbins, I know from his own documentary on Netflix, jumps into a little like ice water pool every morning, I think, and I think tries to submerge himself for some period of time. I don't know if that's because of Wim Hof or something else. I don't know if Wim Hof really started this whole trend or not, but that's really what most of the book is written about. There are chapters where the author really talks about like some marathons that he ran and different experiences, the Tough Mudder, different types of obstacle courses like the Tough Mudder, where it's just really intense. You go through, ice water parts, you go through like barbed wire fences. The whole premise of the book is really talking about how we have put these limits on ourselves that aren't really real. The limits of our minds and the limits of our bodies, and how the limits are much further out than we think they are. We typically stop before we actually get to the limit and get to that brink as far as we can go. So they use breathing techniques where and there's a full detailed written breathing technique in here. I don't have it memorized, but it involves a forced inhalation and then a relaxed exhalation. Forced inhalation, relaxed exhalation for, I think you do 30 of those, and then a part where you actually retain your breath and hold your breath and try to do push-ups. And just how managing the breath and how moderating your breath can help you to do more push-ups than if you did not do that. So breath management is a really, really key component to this. And then exposure to the cold, getting out into the cold. Now, if you don't live in a cold climate, other things that you can do include like a cold shower or an ice bath. So you can go, and there's even some gyms that have this right there. They believe in using that for recovery of your muscles, using the ice bath, which kind of forces the blood out of the area to kind of like refresh and recycle the blood supply. So if you just run your water on cold, completely cold, for the last minute or so of your shower, that can be a way to increase your brown fat and expose yourself to some effects of extreme cold. You can also, if you do live in a cold climate, you can turn the heat down in your house to about 66. That's usually where you'll start to feel a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit cold, and just be a little bit more comfortable. And you see right here in the subtext of the title, the point of these things is to renew our lost evolutionary strength. So they found that wild animals who don't wear clothes have a high percentage of brown fat that seems to get them through. And that's what they were kind of studying. Weren't the first primal humans, they didn't have clothes. So how did they keep themselves warm? What was the difference between them and us? And one thing that they theorize is that they probably had a much higher amount of brown fat on their bodies. The evolutionary mismatch of modern humans is that we live in a pretty warm climate year-round. If it's too hot outside, we put the air conditioning on. If it's too cold outside, we put the heat on. So we keep ourselves between this 70, 75 degree temperature all the time. So another thing you can do is just get outside, exercise outside, get familiar with what the outside temperature and climate and environment is like every single day. Get out there for 10 to 15 minutes a day, maybe do a meditation or do an exercise, do something out there where you're experiencing a little bit less pampered lifestyle every single day. So those are some of the tips and takeaways from this book. Let me see what kind of comments we have coming in. Can you get an amen? Amen. I don't know actually what I'm amening, but I said amen. What doesn't kill us doesn't kill us. True. I sit on logs in the snow in my underwear too. You were talking about this guy before, yeah. Plus, brown fat contains more mitochondria than white fat. Interesting, Rankin. You're familiar with this concept? So I assume you're familiar with Wim Hof as well? So I had heard of this guy and thought it was really interesting and didn't really know the first thing about it, so I'd put this book on my wish list, and one of the audience members had sent it to me. So if you want to check out my book wish list, click the link in the profile, nextshoes.com/support. Go to the bottom, you'll see my Amazon wish list. I have different books and items on there if you want to send gifts instead of money. So I can binge eat as long as I expose myself to cold weather. Gotcha. I guess if you're going to expose yourself to that much cold weather, you could test it. I believe this, but I prefer my blubber. I am a seal. Okay, hi Will. Okay, so let's do this. Hi Thailander, how you doing? I get you, I need to lose weight too. Okay, well it's possible. I mean, personally, I would say the best way to lose weight would be to restrict your calories, to exert more calories than you take in. You do burn a lot of calories from being cold, so there's that too. But I've found that larger people with more fat on their bodies, I find them more in cold climates. So it's kind of like a counterintuitive to me that cold would help you to potentially lose fat, because when I go down into hot climate, most people I know who are overweight don't really like when it's really hot because they sweat a lot and they're uncomfortable because they have a lot of extra weight they're carrying around and a lot of extra insulation. So it's hard for them to cool themselves, so they end up sweating pretty profusely. So they usually like colder climates, where I find there's a lot more thin people can tolerate heat a lot better. I hate the cold. I'm pretty thin. I don't have a high percentage of body fat. My body fat was 21% last time I checked it. So I don't know. That's just an observation that I made. Just before I finish my shower, I put it on 30 seconds of cold to close the pores. Okay, so skincare purposes. Hey Grunts, how you doing? Now let me see if there's anything in this book that I forgot to mention. I think this is really good for athletes to get inspired, and there's a lot of cool stories about different types of athletic feats that he did himself, without really believing that he could do it. Also, that some people have claimed that these techniques and Wim Hof's method have helped with their Parkinson's disease, arthritis, Crohn's, a lot of different diseases and conditions. Consult with your doctor and, take everything with a grain of salt. And then at the end of this book, they actually they hiked to the summit of Kilimanjaro almost the entire time with no shirts on. So that was another interesting part, was that they were able to keep their oxygen saturation levels higher than other people by doing the breathing techniques. So they were actually able to scale and make it to the top of the mountain of Kilimanjaro in 3 days. I think it was 2 days, and when most people take 5 to 7 days to pull it off. And the guys who were with them, I forget what they call them, the guides who live in the area, and that's how they make their money. They take people up the mountain and kind of make sure they're okay. They had the little pulse oximeters, the little fingertip things that test they're like little clamps that test your blood oxygen rates. 100% would mean fully saturated. And the guys who were part of the Wim Hof training program had saturation levels in about the 90s. And the guys who are going up with them and going up and down the mountain all the time and were accustomed to the altitude changes, oftentimes were in like the 70s, which most people would be hardly functioning. But they were like, okay, so this is interesting. So it's not that they are able to better saturate their blood with oxygen, it's more like they're just used to functioning with a lower amount of oxygen in their blood. So pretty interesting things. I mean, I definitely don't want to do it myself, but I found it interesting to read about and just to know that it would even be possible. And to kind of go on the journey with Scott Carney and his desire to really prove to himself that he could do it, and to be going up the mountain and having these cold winds just whipping through, and he's not even wearing a shirt, and all these guys are all bundled up and looking at them like, you guys must be crazy, what is this, what's happening? Really pretty entertaining book, I would say, especially for a nonfiction book. Hi, Timothy. I do charity walks, but I could still lose more. Charity walks are probably not going to cause you to lose any weight. Hi also. Let me just check my review that I posted, see if I missed anything else. Yeah, and even if you're not an athlete, if you're just interested in pushing your body to its limits, good book for you. Yeah, 2 days that they made it to the summit of Kilimanjaro. And they were wearing shorts too. So the breath exercises are a mixture of hyperventilation and breath retention. Okay. And I wrote in my book review, and I'll remind you guys too, to have fun with it, but also to be safe out there. Safety first, okay? You definitely, Timothy, you're not a good candidate for this stuff. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this review of What Doesn't Kill Us by Scott Carney, how freezing water, extreme altitude, and environmental conditioning will renew our lost evolutionary strength. So if you're interested in doing that, maybe you're interested in getting this book, I have the link where you can get the book right in the description of this video on my YouTube channel. I'm live right now on YouTube and Periscope. And how long? This was a pretty quick book review, I would say. Yeah, 19 minutes, not bad. So I'm going to probably do one more book review. I'll pick another book to review that I read over the past couple of weeks. I'll review that one, and then we'll head over to the gym and do chest, triceps, and shoulders exercise. Please do support this channel at the link, nextjuice.com/support. And thank you for everyone who will send super hearts in the future also. Love you guys. I hope to see you on the next juice. This has been A Moment in Time with Taylor. Thanks for watching.